Ever since I was a kid and I had my first PlayStation 1, I wanted that portable monitor that attached to the backside of it so that I could take it wherever I wanted, whether that be the car, on a trip, but I never got that accessory for my PlayStation 1, and it's haunted me these past 25 years. But no longer am I left behind on the road trip of video games because my pals over at G-Story sent these two monitors for me to review, and as you can see, it turns both the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 into portable on-the-go laptops so that you can take your video games with you wherever you want. And I've had a couple of months to play around with it, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on it and whether or not you should consider picking these bad boys up. So let's dive into all of that after today's video sponsor. My friends, today's video is brought to you by Silverstone, and more specifically their new Ceta Q1 sound dampening chassis. If you're looking for a new quiet PC case to build your system in this holiday season, the Ceta Q1 should have you covered. It has a uniform black color that helps it to fit in a variety of different places. It has a distinctive front bezel design which is embedded with a sound maze soundproofing technique, which I know sounds a little odd, but if you look at the reviews out on the internet about this case, it actually does work really well. You add on top of that, you've got the sound dampening material on the front and side panels, and you have one quiet system. Plus, it can fit all the components that you could possibly want. Up to an eATX motherboard, a 394mm long GPU, 182mm CPU height, but then it also has all of the things that you could possibly want in a good case. You've got a removable bottom dust filter. It has a 30 series GPU support card so that you can actually make sure you're not getting any sagging, thanks to its multifunctional bracket that's on the side of the case. It also has a removable front fan radiator bracket, and it comes installed with 3 140mm fans. And in case you want to vertically mount your GPU, you also have the option for that. My friends, if you're looking for a workhorse PC case that's not going to sound too loud while you're blasting away on whatever productivity task that you want, the Ceta Q1 should be on your holiday shopping list this season. We'll leave links in the video description for you to check it out, and big thanks again to Silverstone for sponsoring today's video. As you can clearly see just by them next to me, these are two different portable monitors that you could potentially use. The one on the Xbox is a 12.5-inch monitor, whereas the one on the PlayStation 5 is 15.6 inches. However, as far as like spec lists, they're actually quite identical besides the sizes, but that's because G-Story has perfectly fit these monitors to go on top of your existing console. For the PlayStation 5, it uses the indents of the faceplate to actually slide on and then be attached, whereas on the Xbox, it uses some of the ports that are on the back end to then pop on in without blocking any airflow, and actually making it so that when you decide that you're done playing video games, they both close flush to actually not look like a whole lot extra, except for on the PS5. It kind of looks like there's a second PS5 on your PS5.
Yo dog, I heard you like gaming, so I put a PS5 on your PS5 so you can game while you game.
So that's something that I actually really love about both of these monitors, is that they are just custom fit to what you're using, and you don't have to worry about putting them on and off, which is one of the issues of normal portable monitors. So let's say you're traveling a lot, you want to bring your PS5 with you, you attach the portable monitor, but then when you get home, you don't have to detach it at all because you can close it up and then connect it to your TV at home. So that's a huge plus, but what's also a huge plus is the spec list on both of these monitors. Both the 12.5-inch and 15.6-inch monitors support 4K 60 Hz. So in case you're trying to get the highest resolution out of any of the modern games that are out there or any of the updated previous games, you can absolutely do that. However, there's also the added bonus that they have a second HDMI port that you can plug it into, which G-Story's branding is really terrible at this. So when you look at like the Amazon product listing, don't listen to them, okay? Because they're doing a really bad job at selling what these monitors can do. 4K 60 is great, but they have a second port on the back, which is listed as 4K 30. But if you dig down through all of their little details on their product listing, you find out that this is actually the 1080p 120 Hz port, which is exactly what you want on these modern consoles. You either want 4K 60 or you want 1080p 120 so that you can get the high refresh rate of the modern video games. It makes so much sense that they would include this, but it's actually something that I didn't find out up until like 2 days ago when I was preparing to make this video. I've had these for months. I didn't know that they could do 120 hertz. And I think 1080p 120 makes a lot more sense on the Xbox. Number one, because it's a 12.5-inch display. You don't need 4K with this size of display, so 1080p is perfectly fine as far as pixels per inch, and then 120 hertz support on Xbox is a lot better than it is on PlayStation 5. You can just go through the list of 120 hertz supported games on the Xbox, and there's tons of them. Whereas for the PlayStation 5, I actually don't own a single game that technically supports 120 FPS. The only one that I can think of is Fortnite, and I don't play that on my PlayStation. So for me, 4K 60 makes a lot more sense on the PS5 one, whereas 1080p 120 makes a lot more sense on the Xbox One, but they both support it. They have the exact same spec list. They both support HDR, however, based on my brightness, I don't have the ability to test the actual luminance values. I'm gonna guess that these are nowhere near actual HDR. They're probably under 400 nits so that it has support for HDR, but you're not getting the luminance values to make it good HDR. But they also support FreeSync, which is great on the Xbox, which does have variable refresh rate support. It will be great on the PS5 as soon as Sony decides to implement FreeSync, which for whatever reason, they still have not done. We're over a year into the PlayStation 5 and we do not have FreeSync support. It baffles me. So both on form factor and on resolution and refresh rate, these monitors are winners. However, there are a few other features that it has that I want to note. Some of them are really good. Some of them are things you should be aware of before you consider your purchase, and I want to go over those now. They both include speakers, and on the PlayStation 5 one, it actually sounds really good because the speakers are mounted on top of the PlayStation 5 so that you can actually have them firing at you. On the Xbox, they're less good because they're firing out the back. So you're actually hearing a lot of the sound bounce off of surfaces rather than firing directly at you. So the PlayStation 5 one is a little bit better on that front. Additionally, it has dual headphone support in case you want to play with friends and actually wear your own pair of headphones. It supports that, which again on the PlayStation 5 is a little bit better because it's here at the front, whereas on the Xbox, it's at the back. It's not such a big deal, but you will have to have some added cable length in order to pull that off. Now, earlier I said that form factor was a definite win. As you can see here on the Xbox Series X, this thing lies flat. You can put it on your lap, no problem. You can have it sitting here, so like I do, where I have this in bed with me while my wife is watching TV. I can put the console on my lap and I can play through whatever I want, whether it be the latest Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, or on the PlayStation 5, I can play Spider-Man Miles Morales and get that done. The Xbox is a little bit better because it is flat, although it makes it a little bit more dense where all of the weight is situated on your legs. On the PlayStation 5, it's not as good because it's wobbly. It doesn't have a flush bottom when you're using it in horizontal mode, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. Thankfully, G-Story has thought of that, and they actually include a stand that you can actually put on this to help even out the surface and make it so that you can have it lie flat. But I found that this digs into my thigh when I actually have it on my lap, so it's easier to just have the PlayStation 5 like this, where it actually fits the contours of my thighs a little bit better than it does on a flat surface. Additionally, G-Story also includes a remote that comes with the monitor, which you can use to turn it on or off. You can use it to control the volume and all of the menu buttons, which is actually a nifty little extra feature that they can include. Both of the monitors have physical menu buttons that you can interact with, but the inclusion of a remote is a nice touch. Now, I want to go over the two kind of major cons of these monitors so that you can understand what you're getting into. The first one is price. They both sell for $330, which is a lot of money for a monitor, especially a 1080p 120 hertz monitor. As I'm filming right now, the PS5 monitor has a $40 discount coupon code to make it only $280, but that is still a rough cookie to swallow. I mean, you could get 1440p 165 hertz monitors for $290, but you are paying for the portability here. But if you compare them to other high-end portable monitors, it's not as bad of a pill to swallow, because something like Asus's ROG Strix XG16 goes for $300 on a Cyber Monday sale. That's $100 off of its normal price, and that thing is only 15.6 inches, 1080p, 144 hertz. So it's slightly better than what you're getting here, except for these also have 4K 60 hertz support, and these things integrate a little bit better with your consoles. However, obviously the benefit of something like the XG16 is that you can use it wherever, but you could also use these with a laptop as well. You would would just need to take an HDMI cable from your laptop and plug it in, and then you're good to go. You could use it 4K 60, you could use it 1080p 120. It's just that the form factor is obviously specifically built for the consoles here. So they're a little expensive, but my biggest con with these, and honestly is kind of a deal breaker in some scenarios, is that they require external power. You do not have USB power for these bad boys. You have to have it attached to a brick. Now, there are a couple of ways around this. You can potentially use something like a battery bank to plug it in so that these things can be powered off of USB. However, I have purchased every single USB to DC adapter that I could potentially find on Amazon, and I've tested them all, and unfortunately they all do not work very well. Whether it be USB-C or USB-A connected to the PlayStation 5 or connected to the Xbox, they either have an issue where they have like a tick rate that goes on where the display constantly flashes from interrupted power, or it has this issue where it'll work for a while and then it'll kick off and then it'll have to reboot. I have not found a single cable that's allowed me to get an effective power source for these monitors. So a battery bank might be able to do it, but the ports on the PlayStation 5 and the Series X have not been able to do it, at least in my experience. And in fact, I tested so many cables that at one point, this monitor needed to sit for like a week without power because it made it so that it wouldn't even work with the power brick that came included, and I just let it sit, and then eventually it started working again. So making it completely portable where you only need the power going into the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox isn't really realistic. However, considering neither of these devices actually have batteries included and you will have to have them attached to the wall regardless, it's really not such a big deal. I just have both the PlayStation 5's power and the monitor's power connected to a little extension here that makes it so that if I'm bringing it anywhere, I just unplug one cable and then I'm bringing them both with me. But overall, I really love both of these monitors. Thankfully, I didn't have to pay the steep price to get both of them since G-Story sent them over to me, but there are those limitations that you need to be aware of. The price, as well as the fact that they do require a wall plug in order to run, which I think is probably the biggest downfall. Just take something like the ROG Strix XG16 or XG17. They have battery backup built into them and they're powered over USB. This is something that I really like for portable monitors, and it's really hard to find this niche for some reason. Asus is starting to do it, but for the majority of portable monitors out there, they're either display and power over USB, or their display over HDMI or DisplayPort, but then you have to have a plug. And unfortunately, these G-Story monitors don't live up to the full expectation of what I would like in the, let's say, the ultimate portable monitor, but they come really close. The fact that they have both 4K 60 and 1080p 120 Hz support on the go is really appealing to me. I thoroughly enjoy them. I use it all the time, especially again, as my wife is watching a TV show on our TV in our bedroom, I'm able to then play a video game no problem. I can either wear wireless headphones that connect to the console, or I can plug in headphones right here. Either way, I'm good to go. And G-Story also asked me to mention a couple of other products that they have to make things a little bit more easy for transporting your consoles around. They sell these portable transport bags for both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox that'll fit the monitor attached to it. You just load it up into here. It has straps on the inside to make sure that your consoles are secure, and obviously it says for Xbox and for PS5 in case you actually don't want to just chuck these things into your carry-on. And even though I'm not using these monitors for travel, I have gotten my fair share of use out of them, especially in videos that we've been doing lately where I mess around with the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox when it comes to their storage. So in case you want to see what the PS5 can handle in terms of an SSD or even a GPU attached to that M.2 slot, you should check out this video that we did right over there. With that being said, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.